today's session we will be configuring the Etherchannel, port security and inter-VLAN routing. My name is Kedar Gandekar and I am a Cisco certified internet network expert in enterprise infrastructure. So if you have any question, then please feel free to mail me on kedargandekar@nittraining.in. So today we will be configuring the Etherchannel. So the first task is that we have to configure the Etherchannel between DS switch 1 and DS switch 2. After that we have to configure the IP address to the port channel interfaces. So let's start the configuration. So this is my DS switch 1. So configure the interfaces that we have to take into the Etherchannel are E0/1 and E0/2. So we have to give the command no switch port. So because we are configuring the layer 3 Etherchannel, we have to give the command no switch port so that interfaces E0/1 and E0/2 will be a layer 3 capable. And now the channel dash group 1 mode on. Now we have to give the IP address to the port channel interfaces PO1. IP address will be 20.1.1.1 subnet mask 255.0.0.0. No shutdown. Second switch, same interface range E0/1 and 2. No switch port. Channel dash group 1 mode on. Now interface PO1 IP address 20.1.1.2 subnet mask 255.0.0.0. No shutdown. Okay, so let's verify. Show Etherchannel summary. So both the interfaces are into the Etherchannel. Now let's try to ping 20.1.1.1. Okay, so we are getting the reachability. Now the next task is for the inter-VLAN routing. We have to configure the VLAN 2 interface with IP address 10.1.1.2 and VLAN 3 interface with IP address 11.1.1.2 on DS switch 1. So before we configure the inter-VLAN routing, we will enable the IP routing function on both the DS switch with IP routing command. So we have enabled the IP version 4 routing function on both the DS switches. Now let's create the interfaces for VLANs. So DS switch 1, we will first create the VLAN 2 and VLAN 3 here. And now interface VLAN 2, IP address will be 10.1.1.2. No shutdown. Interface VLAN 3, IP address will be 11.1.1.2 and no shutdown. So let's verify. Show IP identity. So both the VLAN interfaces are up. Now after that we have to configure the VLAN 4 interface with IP address 12.2 and VLAN 5 interface with IP address 13.2 on DS switch 2. Also we have to configure the OSPF between DS switch 1 and DS switch 2. So this is my DS switch 2. So here the interfaces are VLAN 4 and 5. So let's create the VLANs first. VLAN 4 and VLAN 5 and interface VLAN 4. IP address will be 20.1.1.2 and for VLAN 5 IP address will be 13.1.1.2. So let's verify the interfaces status. Okay, so both the VLAN interfaces are up. Now we have to configure the OSPF between DS switch 1 and DS switch 2. So let's configure it first on DS switch 1. So router OSPF 1 network 20.0.0.0.0.255.255.255 area 0. Also we have to advertise the network of VLAN interfaces, which is 10 and 11. Now second switch. So here router OSPF 1 network 20 and now the VLAN interfaces are 12 and 13. So we have advertises the network of VLAN interfaces also. And now let's check the OSPF neighborship. So currently it is into the two-way state. So let's wait for a minute. Okay, so the OSPF neighborship is up now. Show IP route OSPF. Now here we can see on DS switch 2 we have learned the networks through OSPF. Now the third task is for the port security configuration. So we have to configure the port security on switch 3 interface E0/1 and E0/2 so that it can learn only one MAC address. Also switch 3 should add those MAC address into the running configuration. So this is my switch 3. So switch 3 should learn only one MAC address on both interface E0/1 and E0/2. So switch port security. So we have to only enable the port security on both the interfaces. By default, both the interfaces will learn only one MAC addresses. Okay, and now switch port security MAC address sticky. So the task is saying that switch 3 should add those MAC address into the running configuration. That's why we are using this command, so that switch 3 will stick that MAC address into the running configuration. Now after that we have to configure the port security on switch 4 so that he can only allow the MAC address of PC7 on interface E0/1 and the MAC address of PC8 on interface E0/2. So switch 4 now. So we have configured it on switch 3. Okay, now switch 4. So config T interface E0/1 switch port security, and now switch port security MAC address of PC7. Show IP. And now interface E0/2 switch port security and switch port security MAC address of PC8. Okay, so we have done the port security configuration. Now let's check the reachability from PC5 to PC6. That means from 10.1 to 11.1. So ping 11.1.1.1. Okay, so we are getting the reachability. Now from 10.1 to 12.1, that means from PC5 to PC7. Okay. Now from PC5 to PC8, 13.1.1.1. Okay, so we are getting the reachability. Now let's go on the switch 3. So here show port security interface E0/1. So here you can see that the large source address was this, and now the sticky MAC address is 1. Okay, so if you check the running configuration also here, then we can see that switches are adding the MAC address into the running configuration. Okay, so that's it for today. So if you have any question, then please feel free to mail me on kedardhandikar@nittraining.in. Thank you.